When you think of the Legend of Zelda games, they don't exactly shout out dark or creepy, or even that gory to be honest. Now yes, we do have games such as Majora's Mask, which was fairly creepy and pretty fucking dark when you learn the story and do all the side quests within the game. Now, apart from Majora's Mask, and in some ways Twilight Princess, the Zelda franchise has been pretty friendly, I guess you could say. I am dying on the inside for a darker and more creepy Zelda game in the next installment to the franchise. And I'm going to be going into, will we get a Darker Zelda game? Along with the stuff I would say is needed to make this happen, and also the stuff I would personally love to see within a Darker Zelda game. First of all, we're going to take a look at what I feel must be included in a potential Darker Zelda title, and all the little things that would truly make it that dark and deep Zelda game that a lot of fans and myself have been wanting. Then later in the video, I will dive into if I believe we will get a Darker Zelda title. Well, why I believe we will get a Darker Zelda title in the next installment to the Zelda franchise. So, to start us off, let's look at the Overworld in the next Zelda title. Well, it's pretty much 100% likely to be open air again, due to various quotes from Nintendo themselves, and just how much of a success Breath of the Wild was in its open air style. To get the Dark Zelda game feeling, the land of Hyrule, or wherever the game takes place, has to have a sort of doom and gloom look to it. Or perhaps a more gritty look, sort of like Twilight Princess. So not the same anime-esque art style of Breath of the Wild, as I can't see that fitting a darker game very well. Personally, I would imagine the style of Twilight Princess, or just the realistic look in general, would fit the game really well, as it would be the best way to show off all the small features that would make the game darker, such as the way the grass looks, the sky, buildings, Hylians, pretty much everything could come across in a more darker and gritty way, using a realistic art style. So I believe that would be the best way to go for the art style of the game. Moving on to the enemies. Now, enemies will definitely be a huge part of making the game darker compared to the other titles, as they're the most common threat to you, and you will see them quite often, traveling, exploring, and taking on dungeons. They will play a fairly large role. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So here's the original concept art for the Guardians in Breath, and they look bloody demonic. Like, what the hell is this? Also, look at the size of it compared to Link. Now, I'm not saying these exact concepts will be used, but the Zelda team is famously known for using unused concepts and ideas from previous games in their newer games. So what's the chances they look at these again and maybe make them a little less terrifying, please, and use them as some sort of larger or heavyweight enemy, like the Guardians in Breath. Just imagine travelling through Hyrule Field, and one of these things comes rushing round the corner at you. I would be absolutely terrified. Now, as for the bosses, well, the Zelda team could get really creative here and give us some truly terrifying bosses to face. If they keep their style along the same lines as these, then I'm sure they can create all sorts of terrifying and demonic looking bosses. To truly create a dark boss, I'd love to see them create bosses inspired by stuff like demons, spiders, mythical creatures, ghosts, and anything that can scare the living hell out of you really. Throughout the franchise, we've seen the odd one or two scarier bosses, but imagine a game filled with them. That would be something truly terrifying, but yet amazing. Along with all the enemies and bosses, something I really had to think about was, should the game include blood and gore in the combat? Personally, I'd say yes. If we're going to see a Darker Zelda game in the future, I would love to see them take it one step further and add blood and gore to the franchise. Now, maybe this is pushing it a little bit, but come on. A realistic Zelda game with blood in the combat would be really awesome, and definitely give it a bit of edge to the game. Now, as for the music, the soundtrack for Breath has been met with mixed opinions, with some fans really liking the simplistic and quiet sound to it, and others absolutely hating it. Well, as much as I like a good theme to individual areas in a game, I feel like a similar style of music would work really well in this case. Just a little more eerie and something that makes you feel on edge all the time, as I feel it would capture the sense of being in this dark, gloomy Hyrule at all times. Then when you go to battle an enemy, the music can really pick up and jump right into this intense battle theme, coming from a very quiet and ghostly theme, putting you right on edge when in battle. I feel that would really fit the dark theme of the game well. As for the music for villages and towns, that could be something sort of depressing and gloomy to really immerse you in the dark world that you're playing in. Now, I'm not saying the entire game has to be all dark and depressing, but it would fit pretty well if the majority of the game was. I feel like it would be pretty cool anyway. So overall, I would love to see a fairly simplistic, but yet eerie and creepy soundtrack to the game. Alright, so let's now dive into the story elements for the game. Well, there is a lot I'd expect to see in this game. Firstly, the themes and events in the game have to be a lot deeper than in past titles. I'd expect the game to feature a lot of deaths and violence and whatnot. Basically stuff that's a lot deeper and more hard-hitting to the player, as I feel like that would definitely make the game a whole lot darker already. For an example, a side quest in the game could be Link getting hired to take out a certain target. Now, he could be hired by anyone really, perhaps just a local sales merchant trying to get rid of a thief in his store. Who knows, it could be anything really. Basically, Link getting to do things you wouldn't normally see within a Zelda game, but still sticking to the darker theme of the game of course. I would just love to see a lot of the game like this, with a lot of varied side quests that keep the game interesting for a while, and of course give the player a bunch of quests to do throughout their journey. Now, as for the bigger moments of the game, I feel we need to see a lot of hard-hitting moments that will really play with our emotions. I'm talking about all the big turning points of the game, the points where the game climaxes, and you know, all that important stuff. Say you could be rescuing an important character to the story that you've been traveling and battling endlessly to rescue throughout a period of time. Then, when that moment comes that you finally get to them and can rescue them, the enemy takes them out. All of your efforts have led to this moment, and now you're left in despair for the character. This can do a lot of things to a player. It can drive the player further to take out the enemy and seek vengeance. It can hit a player so hard that it gets them emotional. It could even amaze the player so much they need a break due to how big a turning point like this could be. Things like this aren't normally present within Zelda games, so just imagine something like that happening. How could you possibly predict your feelings until it really happens? I would love the game so much if the Zelda team implemented hard-hitting and emotionally heartbreaking moments like this into a Zelda game. Honestly, it's something I've wanted to see for a while now. But you know, that's just me being picky. Now that I went into what I would love to see and expect to see and whatnot, now let's look into if we could actually get this Darker Zelda title that I desperately want. Well, what I'm going to tell you is very out there and probably very optimistic, but when you think about it, it sort of makes sense. So, leading up to the release of Wind Waker at Nintendo Space World 2000, Nintendo put out this demo for the next Zelda game, and it had a fairly dark and realistic look to it. But in the end, we got the cartoon-styled Wind Waker out of nowhere. However, after Wind Waker, we saw Twilight Princess, what that original demo in 2000 was intended to be. Now, jump forward to 2011, we get another darker and more realistic looking demo, and what do you know, we end up with a lighter anime looking game, Breath of the Wild. So there is a pattern here. Nintendo show off a darker looking demo, then release a lighter and more vibrant game, to then eventually release the darker realistic game after. So if this pattern is to continue for a third time, we could be looking at the next title being a realistic and darker themed Zelda game. And to add to that, and maybe add some evidence to why this could happen, well, more so why it could be a darker themed game. Look at the concept art not used in Breath of the Wild. It would make sense, right? Well, I guess we will just have to wait and see. Plus, we haven't had a Darker Zelda game since 2006, so come on Nintendo. Give us some damn emo Link already. Well, that's my take on what I want to see within a Darker Zelda game, and why I think we will see this darker title sometime in the near future. I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and if I missed anything that you feel I should have included, feel free to leave me a comment about it, or comment something you might want in a potential Darker Zelda game. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Well, I hope you all have a great day or night wherever you are, and until the next time, I've been Hyro Gamer.